That's why I say intimacy would have to lack in some way. You would rob yourself of the intimacy that you can really form with your spouse by living together.
It kind of reminds me, and I'm not saying either one of these people are God, but it reminds me of like the same, where scripture says, if we draw near to God, he'll draw near to us. Like, man, if we can't even draw near to each other, how we gonna draw near to each other? All right, so I saw this status a couple weeks ago. And it was a woman saying that when she gets married, she hopes that her husband is down to...
I'm already afraid.
Is down to have his own house because she don't want to live with her husband. She like her own space. And that got me thinking. We did a whole episode on the ills of cohabitating before marriage.
Is she implying that they are together right now? They live together now?
No.
She said, I hope that when I get married, my husband's down to have his own home.
Yeah.
Because I don't like living together.
Yeah, she wants, no, she likes her own space.
She likes her own space. Okay.
So we talked about this in a way. We talked about this coin. I feel like it's two sides of the same coin. We talked about this in a way of the ills of cohabitating before marriage. Mm-hmm. But now it's like this whole split. She just shifted my whole paradigm that there's another way of looking at this where you don't cohabitate as a married couple. And that is foreign to me.
I guess it's been something that's been done though, because there have been people who have lived in different, like they've been married. There was actually a blog post of someone who was just said, it was an actress or someone who was after many years going to finally go live with her husband because one had lived in LA, one had lived on the other side, like I think New York or something? I don't know, but there was a huge distance in between them. Mm-hmm. And because she's an entertainer, she lived in LA. He lived there with his job. Mm-hmm. And so now she's like, finally, and they're older. Mm-hmm. Finally, the distance got to them and now they're going to go live together. And I'm like, how did that work? I mean, I guess there's many different ways to skin a cat, but in my opinion, I think that would affect intimacy.
Yeah.
Tremendously. And you can create your own space within your own home together. Yeah. And I would assume.
And it sounds like even that though, I still kind of get that. Like we've known a couple people who have lived in different cities.
Absolutely. But they were dying to get back to each other.
Yeah.
That was the thing though. That was a temporary situation where they're like, I can't wait to get back with my spouse.
Yes. It was like a purpose for it.
Yeah, it was a purpose.
The purpose for this situation is just,
I don't want to live with you.
What? This is confusing to me.
Homegirl said, hey, we can be together. We can get it on. But like, after it's over, I need you to grab your stuff and go back home.
This is confusing to me.
Or you can say a couple nights, but ultimately you got to go back to your own
This is really different. And I don't...
It's weird.
I mean, I can't even say, like, I don't want to vilify her or anything, right?
No.
But it's just so foreign. It's so foreign. I'm like, how does this work? Why? Is it like a low level desire just to be different? Like we said, millennials, we want to do everything different and have a reason for it, but it really don't be a reason for it. Like what? Like it's wild to me. And it makes me think, what could be if we talked about the negatives of cohabitating before you're married, what are the negatives of not cohabitating when you're married?
Yeah.
It don't even make sense to say. It's like an oxymoronic sentence.
How can you truly, like, I believe that you know more about a person, you live with them as well. You spend a lot more time in each other's space. I think that is important. And that's why I say intimacy would have to lack in some way. You would rob yourself of the intimacy that you can really form with your spouse by living together. Mm-hmm. And what if the person that you love, that doesn't work for them.
Mm-hmm. They just go along to get along.
Yeah.
At first. And then what happens?
What are we opening the door to?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanna live with my wife. But my wife says she like her own space.
She don't want to live with me.
So like, are we down to compromise?
That's a big compromise.
No, I'm saying, is she down to compromise for her, the person that she wants to be with, her husband? And I know she said she hopes that her husband would allow them to not live together because she loves her own space. But like, what if we built you a she shed in the back? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, would that work for you? Because your husband's leaving his like, biblically we're talking about they leaving their parents, their family, to come and become one with their mate. At this point, it's like y'all one, but the two haven't come together. And I'm not saying that she's wrong,
right?
But it's not making sense in the form of really building that intimacy with your partner. And what is that about?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, and I'm not saying either one of these people are God, but it reminds me of like the same, where scripture says, if we draw near to God, he'll draw near to us. Mm-hmm. Like, man, if we can't even draw near to each other, how are we going to draw near to each other? Like, how are we going to build and grow if even God works and moves in that way? You know what I'm saying? Because we did long distance. We had a long distance relationship in a sense.
We did, yeah. We weren't married, but
and we weren't across the country. No, but even the 4 hours difference,
it made a difference for us because we weren't able to see each other as much as we wanted to when we were like, when we were dating. And then even sometime after you had proposed, prior to me moving to St. Louis, you know, to be with you, it was hard for us. Mm-hmm. You know, that distance. It was whack. It was hard for us. So I'm like, how is it that you can do that? And maybe she is willing to bend, you know, but why is your own space that important to you? Or could you and your husband come together and say, you know what, we can live together. Yeah. But let me create a space for me. Mm-hmm. And I get it, because at times, especially if you grow a family together, what does that look like then? What if you want kids?
Because now we getting into some real talk.
Yeah, because for real. If you want kids, now you
effectively raising your child as a single in a single parent home when you're married.
And the kid grows up to believe that this is normal, except and not abnormal. And then they don't get to see the interaction or how a household functions with two active parents inside of it.
And we got all the statistics in the world saying the benefit of a 2-parent home. And how much having 2 parents in the home versus just 1 parent positively affects the child. Yeah. Like it's like levels. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For them to see that.
You know what's interesting though is I love my own space. Right? I do. And you know, for many reasons, not just because I want my own time, you know, to myself, but I like to keep my space a certain type of way, right? And you could be like, I did that. And I'm like, did you? And it's not like you didn't, but I like my own space as well. Mm-hmm. However, I had to, and even you had to find something you like, I'll just go downstairs and you'll do that. But my thing is even me who loves my own space, I won't even let you sleep on a couch. We're talking about out of in another home. Mm-hmm. Y'all, he'll fall asleep on the couch and Anthony, go get in the bed. Because what are we doing? Why are you sleeping on the couch? We're married now. You go upstairs and get in the bed. Even if he had an attitude, you ain't getting no blanket and no pillow. You need to go upstairs and get in the bed. We ain't got to talk to each other, but you need to be in the bed. We set our vows for this. We did this the right way. Get upstairs in the bed. And of course, at times we fall asleep on the couch. And sometimes I'm like, he's just tired. No big deal. But for the most part, 90% of the time, he in that bed. I wish he would come to me. I like my own space. Can we live in separate homes?
Because then what are you
start
doing?
what? And start what?
Like, what are we
and
doing?
Start what then? Because you don't know what type of temptation lies there as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if it's the middle of the night?
Mm-hmm. And you can't say you don't have needs.
Right. It's the middle of the night and you want some. You can't roll over. Your spouse ain't in the bed with you. Mm-hmm. You can't roll over and get some. Nah, what you got to do? You got to get up, get dressed, get in the car. Hopefully you got a key to her house because she want her space. Get in there and just to go in her room just to get some. Who got time for that?
What if
you
we
gotta
turn
think
this
of the temptation? You got to think of the temptation that lies with that as well. Because it's like, if I got to do all of that to be with you, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What do we need to be married for then? You're not looking to be married. You're looking to be single.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're at that point, you're just getting married so that the sex part isn't a sin at this point. But you're not looking to live with, if you're not looking to live with your spouse, and let's talk about statistically as well, because we spend more time in our jobs than we even do with the people that we live with.
Yep.
Majority of our hours in a day are spent with our coworkers over our spouses. So let's think of it this way too. Your spouse gets off work. They're tired from a long day. They don't want to come over to your house and then go back home. They're like, I'm going to just go ahead and go home. What are we doing here? Yeah. We're single. We're not married.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching Refocused with A&E. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you're into podcasts, search your favorite podcast platform for Refocused with A&E. Stay focused.